Hello everybody, good morning. The week has flown past. The weekend is almost upon us. You remember that story, the end of the Gospel of Luke, that happened on Resurrection Sunday? These two men, really downcast men, are walking from Jerusalem to Emmaus. And they're talking about the events that had happened up there at Jerusalem around the death and the supposed resurrection of Jesus, because they'd heard these strange reports that Jesus was alive. But the point is, really, they are seriously disillusioned because things hadn't worked out for them as they had hoped. And the stranger comes up to them, it's Jesus, but they don't know it's Jesus. And as they walk together, now three of them, so a fire is kindled in their hearts, and they eventually make it to a home, and they invite Jesus in. They still don't know it's Jesus. And at the dinner table, Jesus takes bread and he breaks it, he gives it to them, and suddenly their eyes are opened. Now, I've sometimes wondered, looking at that story, if other travelers on that road, be it in the same direction to Emmaus, or walking from Emmaus to Jerusalem, saw three people, or if they only saw two. And that in fact what those two men experienced was the deep spiritual presence of Jesus. And it was almost as real as if Jesus was there in the flesh, like flesh and blood. I actually don't think that people would have seen three. I think they would have seen two. But Jesus was as real to them as if he was physically, actually there walking with them. The unseen presence of Jesus. Now, many years ago, I remember hearing a minister tell a story of his own ministry. And he was a very old minister. So I was very young and he was very old. And he spoke about how late one evening, and he was from somewhere in England, there was a knock on the door, and a woman was standing there and said, "My father is dying. Will you come and visit him?" So the old minister put on his coat. There was no car was given for a minister to travel around in those days. And he walked with this woman to the family home where the old father was dying. And he went in and spoke to the wife of the old man, and went in and sat with the old chap and ministered to him and prayed with him. It was a very meaningful and important discussion. And at the end of the visit, he asked about the woman who had walked with him. And the wife said, "Who are you talking about? We had a daughter some years ago, but she died." So who was that woman? It was just some unseen person, the spirit of that woman, who had walked with that old minister to the place. And the minister was intrigued. So on the way back, he saw some people walking also there, and he recognized them from the journey to the house. So he said, "Hang on a moment, do you remember me walking here about an hour or so ago?" And they said, "Yes." And they said, "You were walking alone, and you were jabbering away as if you were talking to somebody else." Most astonishing, that. And that underlines for me the reality of the spiritual world. And that you may be where you are now. You may face challenges in your life, challenges that can be deeply perplexing. But know this: we persevere as seeing him, our risen Lord Jesus Christ, who is invisible. There is more going on here than meets the eye. And that Christ is nearer to you than you could ever imagine. And he addresses you by name. I want you to think about that. Don't kind of just move on and say, oh, well. No, pause and reflect on that. We live our lives as seeing him who is invisible. That is the risen Lord Jesus Christ. God be with you.